Hi guys, my name is Kate. I make videos among some other things about literature. I have read 7 books in English so far, and today I want to talk about Travels with My Aunt by Graham Greene. I have already read this book in Russian and decided to reread it in English because I am very fond of it. Greene is an unusual writer. He somehow draws my attention. What exactly do I like in this book? Firstly, the sense of humor. I smiled and laughed often while I was reading this story. Secondly, the main heroine, Aunt Augusta, initially was loved by me. She was funny and charming in a way. This quotation demonstrates the character of Aunt Augusta. Sometimes I have an awful feeling that I am the only one left anywhere who finds any fun in life. Thirdly, I was very keen on the audiobook read by Tim Pigott-Smith. I spent hours listening to this audiobook while I was riding my bike. In my opinion, it's really interesting and effective to learn English via reading and watching films. For example, I find deep pleasure in rewatching some series of Miss Marple 1980s. My favorite episode is Nemesis. All stories that we discovered can really influence on our lives. It is the opinion of Mr. Pulling as well. One's life is more formed, I sometimes think, by books than by human beings. It is out of books one learns about love and pain at second hand. Even if we have the happy chance to fall in love, it is because we have been conditioned by what we have read. And if I had never known love at all, perhaps it was because my father's library had not contained the right books. Once I watched the video about this book made by a woman, and the author of the video pointed out that there are 2 ways of living. One is calm but boring, and another is exciting but risky. It was also perfectly described by Aunt Augusta. She told it to Henry Pulling. Tomorrow you may be shot in the street by a policeman because you haven't understood Guarani, or a man may knife you in a cantina because you can't speak Spanish and he thinks you are acting in a superior way. Next week, when we have our Dakota, perhaps it will crash with you over Argentina. Mr. Visconti is too old to fly with the pilot. My dear Henry, if you live with us, you won't be edging day by day across to any last wall. The wall will find you of its own accord, without your help, and every day you live will seem to you a kind of victory. I was too sharp for it that time, you will say, when night comes, and afterwards you'll sleep well. Aunt Augusta is very convincing, isn't she? The absorbing part of this book was the observation on how Mr. Pulling has been changing gradually. All my working life I had been strictly loyal to one establishment, the bank, but my loyalty now was drawn in quite another direction. Loyalty to a person inevitably entails loyalty to all the imperfections of a human being, even to the chicanery and immorality from which my aunt was not entirely free. I wondered whether she had ever forged a check or robbed a bank, and I smiled at the thought with the tenderness I might have shown in the past to a small eccentricity. What did repel me in the book Travels with My Aunt? Cynicism and the death in the end. It was difficult to regard this story as funny after the death of one of the main heroes. Actually, the core of the cynicism and the behavior of the cynical people have made me disappointed a bit. I felt sorry for Wordsworth. Nevertheless, I like this story. I want to remember a great deal of new words by rereading some fragments of it. That's all for today's video. Bye for now!